My name is Daisy Papp, and today with me is Dani Henderson from Great Britain, and she has an experience I want to know all about because she went to Amsterdam and she saw what many people were not aware of. So, Dani, welcome, and I'm so glad to see you again. And you're a sweet soul, and you're very dear to my heart. And I'm looking forward for you to sharing with me because we did not have the time yet to connect. And then we thought, okay, you will share it with the world. So, what's happening in Amsterdam?
History was made on March 9th, 2026, in the High Court in Amsterdam, and I was there in the front row. I sat behind Peter Stassen, and as you know, he was supposed to be sitting there with his colleague Arno van Kessel,
Yeah.
and the case is against Bill Gates and Arnold Bohler of the Pfizer company. He was once CEO of Pfizer. It should have been 7 people who are very harmed and injured by the shots, but unfortunately one has since passed and there were only 6. So what happened was, well, everyone is distracted with the horrors of the Iran war, Bill the Clintons, those Muppets being questioned, other people. History was made, which now every single human who took a shot can sue the pharmaceutical companies, and that is the biggest news. That was history being made March 9th, 2026, and I was there in the courtroom as a journalist on the front row. I sat with Fiona Rose Diamond, who is a British activist. I sat with Sasha Latypova, who is the scientist who has been bringing forward evidence of the great harm, the grave harm, that the shots give. Now I refer specifically to Pfizer, and I will show you some of the footage here that I took. So this is myself, this is Fiona Rose Diamond, and we were there together. She's a British activist. Moving up here, this was Bridgen. His name is Andrew Bridgen. A lot of you will recognize him. He has been to visit Reiner, our friend Dr. Reiner Fuellmich, who currently is in prison, the same way Arno van Kessel was, for speaking out against the jab. See this here? This electronic box on where my arrow is? Well, these people, there were people sitting here, Daisy, supporting us inside of the court and the court case that Peter Stassen took on his own. And every now and again, Reiner's face popped up on this giant light box, and we were all crying. We were all crying. I'm a bit cheeky because if you don't act, you know, nothing happens in life. And seconds after this great man spoke, I went up to him, I put my hand on my back, I thanked him greatly, and then I just took a cheeky picture.
Well done.
That's what we have to do. And here is Andrew Bridgen, former MP in England, myself, Dani Henderson, and the great Fiona Rose Diamond. And because of her, this is inside the actual court. There's Sasha Latypova. They used to let you in the court hearing for Bill Gates with Sonia, and Shannon Joy, and waiting for the system to start. The judge is getting in place. That's right inside, right before it happened, and then I had to put my phone away. This is in the evening. We went to a press conference and I got to interview Peter. History was made today, and here is the great man who made it. Please, sir, introduce yourself.
My name is Peter Stassen. I'm a lawyer, advocate in the Netherlands. And today I was acting at the High Court in Amsterdam on behalf of 3 of my clients for the appeal about the truth regarding the COVID-19 injections.
And you did an amazing job, and I'm so proud of you. There were 9 people against you.
Yeah, there were 9 lawyers at the other side. In fact, only one of them was working. The rest only said, we agree with what Mrs. Meuring said, one of the lawyers acting also for the state.
So, basically, Peter Stassen there is reporting on the fact that all of the lawyers, there were 9 lawyers in black robes, and all of them said, we've got nothing to say, or we agree with what one of the lawyers said. It was pathetic. Just want to show you that interview with Peter currently is up at 686,000 views, which is pretty impressive. And other good numbers up here, 90,000 for him. We made a reel. I will play. Many of you have been subject to the harm of the COVID jabs. I'm Dani Henderson, I'm a journalist and many other things, and I attended court, the High Court in Amsterdam, March 9th, 2026. The great lawyer, Peter Stassen, stood against 9 black-robed defendants as he sat in court and gave testimony for people who are vax-injured. History was made. Something happened that the globalist pedivores that run the world didn't assume would happen. We woke up, the globalist elite, satanic occult, got a reckoning. History is being written by us on this planet, and it's happening. So as you can see, that's some of the footage and the coverage that I did while I was in Amsterdam on March the 9th, which was just Monday, just past March the 9th, 2026. And it was incredible. These black-robed people, it looked like and felt like a bit of a satanic ritual. You know, there's all this nonsense, especially in Europe and Britain, that there is this long ritual and obedience and abeyance and reverence to all of these ancient rituals, how we wear the wigs in London and the black robes, and it's all nonsense. And what you realize is what these awful occult people are doing. Most of them are aware, especially at the high level, they're running frequency, they're running energy, they're running the old frequency, the abeyance to Mol, to Moloch. You know, these demonic deities that we know now is an actual fact, that there is so much satanic reverence, and the fact that this awful system that we've been forced to live under that is maiming and genociding billions of people across the world with these jabs. And our dear friend Dr. Reiner Fuellmich, who we're going to come to in a moment, has been fighting for justice and revealing how injuries are happening, and he's sitting in prison in Bremervoorde in Germany. And I went to visit him, as you know, a few weeks ago. And yesterday, my friend Cindy Carr went to visit him. And as you know, her mother and her mother's twin, they took their lives. They drank a medicine cocktail and ended their lives due to their injuries. Would you like to share that?
I can share that, yeah.
I was in Texas for 48 hours, and she called and she said, she was sort of holding back, crying, and she said, your mother's not going to want to be someone who's drooling and dragging around her left side. I think we have to say goodbye. We can't let her carry on like this. So she was letting me know that we had to say goodbye to Mom. Mm-hmm. Unbeknownst to both of us at the time, my brother showed up at the emergency room, and Mom, in a muffled sort of way, had been offered the possibility of having a thrombectomy, a catheter up through the groin, up into her brain to pull out the clot. And in her muffled, sort of subdued voice said, let's give it a shot. Yeah. And she agreed to do it, to everyone's surprise. Mm-hmm. And she underwent a thrombectomy.
At about midnight that night.
Had the clot pulled out of her brain. Great allopathic emergency room medicine, I must say. Mm-hmm. And she sailed through the ICU, the PCU, the progressive unit, through the hospital bed, and then to skilled nursing.
Media, who were all lying. That's the worst of it. But that's also, at the very same time, this shows intent. This is not negligence. No mistakes were made. This is intent. And you were absolutely right when you're feeling that you were taken advantage of. That
I think this is very important to see that these two ladies, Jackie and Joyce, they speak for millions of people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Millions of people.
Millions of people. And remember, 2 days after that was filmed, Dr. Reiner Fuellmich was arrested, and he was representing these ladies. They were gathering evidence and recording evidence. And you know, he has clients globally. He was the man on YouTube sitting on a table, people that see him there, very handsome, very striking individual just to look at, never mind his passion for humanity. You know, he's been,
intelligence and good
but
heart.
so intelligent, so passionate for truth, for justice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I've mentioned Dr. Arno van Kassel, who was arrested and was supposed to be in the court the same time as me with Peter Stassen against Bill Gates, against
Well,
Albert Bourla from Pfizer. And he was arrested. I was outside the court. There were so many lovely people outside the court. They were crying when Reiner's face came up. I'm like, it was just so incredible how everything is linked together. And I told you, I hadn't even realized that everybody was so linked together. And two men came over, again, very emotional. They were like, thank you for being here, to me and Fiona Rose Diamond and Andrew Bridgen and others. We're not looking to be heroes. And I'm like, come on, guys, you should be in there with us. Come on in, I'll get you in. I'm a very confident person. I didn't see for a minute why should they be outside when I'm lucky enough to be inside witnessing history happen, because I took the decision to go and be part of it. And they said, no, we're scared to go in. We've just done time in prison for speaking out. They might arrest us again. It's like the freaking Gestapo. It's like all these things we read about, Anne Frank's diaries, not as severe at this point, but we are seeing the patterns of the reset again, which is what they're all trying to do. People have a hard time accepting the World Economic Forum is the nucleus that all the governments on the planet plug into, and all the Muppets that support them, and all the people, the puppet masters above. This is a real thing. I told you I was on a plane the other day going up above the clouds. Once we're up above the clouds, the whole of Great Britain is covered in this white mass, the barium, strontium, aluminium, genociding geo engineering weather. And then above the clouds, they're still spraying above the clouds, so all of the particles fall down. At this stage, there's people that have no ability to not trust the government, and we just put them in the corner with a blanket over them and a hot chocolate, and we'll come back for them later. But right now we've got to be on the front line saying, this is what's happening on your planet. There is genocide happening. They are arresting and imprisoning great lawyers who have evidence against the monstrous Illuminati, cabal, whatever, these bunch of Muppets with limited intelligence, but they're so deluded, Daisy. They're so full of their own power, drunk on it, ecstatic with it, that they think people like me and people like you won't speak out. People like Dr. Reiner Fuellmich won't speak out. Then they torture people around him. I mean, it's just, we have to stand up. We have to stand up. But the men that were arrested, it made me so sad that they couldn't take a chance of coming into the court in case they never came out. What is up with that? This is our world. 2026. Why are we talking in these terms, Daisy?
Well, I think I'm a humanitarian. I love humans, the good humans, those who can connect their body and mind and their heart and spirit, so that I truly believe that when we come together, then we are strong. That's why we created that initiative for Reiner, because we have seen so many people are supporting Reiner. Reiner is one of the many, as you say. There are doctors in Germany who are in prison. That is just not right. Yeah, there are many people who are under observation because of them being self-thinkers. They asking and maybe researching more than the mainstream media is presenting. They are connecting the dots, and they are not wanted to speak freely. And I really believe that this is not going to be solved when we do it for ourselves. This is happening when we do it together for each other. Yeah. And then we are strong, and then the world can be as beautiful as it's meant to be. That's what I believe. I'm certain, and I see it more and more, that people come together. And I mean, you are a very open soul, and you're very open-minded, and you're very loving and very inviting and engaging with people. But I see that even people who were more withheld and maybe not so outgoing, they also see it. Hey, you know what? Yeah, let's do this together. And I see it more and more. I see it in communities in the US. I see it in Europe, many places. I see it in Australia. And that is lovely. And I want to encourage that. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you alone will not be able to solve it. Neither will Peter Stassen be alone able to solve it. Neither will Reiner Fuellmich be able to solve it. Together we can solve it.
That's right. That's right. It's the only way, everyone coming together, but
Yeah.
everybody getting the message that they have every right and every ability as any one of us on the front
Yeah.
line. No
Yeah.
one above another. We stand together, which is your campaign. Did you
Yeah.
want to share your campaign? Because we're raising funds.
We're having this campaign to help for Reiner's freedom. And let me open this here. Here it is. Thank you, Dani, for asking. Yeah, so this is the Etsy shop. It's called Together 369. Those people who know what 369 may help with, just look at Nikola Tesla. So there's everything is thoughtfully done. And we have that here. Together we're strong. And what is very important, that together for each other. And we have some cute little merchandise and people are happy with it. And then I would like to share also here Reiner's Substack, because that we just published yesterday. Look at this one here. The press release, because there are some voices, of course, who don't speak well regarding Reiner, and then we just published that press release that is from an older interview or statement that Reiner did on video in German, and it was translated and it just got published yesterday. And here you can read it. That's on Reiner's Substack, Dr. Reiner Fuellmich. It's Dr. Reiner Fuellmich at substack.com. You can find it here. You can find Reiner's address, and here you can find an address where you can send a letter to Inca, and that goes through my foundation. So the foundation receives the letters and forwards them to Inca, and people can
We'll go back
support.
a bit. Let's go back and leave that on screen for a second so people can get their phones. Oh, no, I meant the addresses. Let's show Reiner's
Oh,
address in prison and Inca so people can take a picture on their phone.
oh yeah.
They can send
Okay, that's a good
Reiner,
idea.
yeah, they can send Reiner a letter in prison. And
Yes,
guys, they can't kill him if too many people are writing to him. They
yeah,
can't silence this giant of a man if people are writing. So there it
yeah,
is, JVA Bremervoorde. That is the jail, the prison address.
yes.
And below is directly to his wife, care of Daisy, which is you.
But the mindset evolution care of the foundation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And so I think when we realize that okay, when I do it only for me, let's say I want justice in this world for myself, I will not go far. But when we do it for each other, then we all benefit from it. And I think that is a mindset. When we get that, then I think we have made a quantum leap, a quantum leap. Yeah. So now tell me, Dani, so are you going back to Amsterdam when there is a continuation of this High Court?
The next hearing is on April, I believe it was April the 9th coming up. So next month, there will be another hearing at the same court. I imagine with the very glamorous black-robed 9, maybe there'll be 13 at that one, sitting on the Bill Gates side, up against the one singular dear Peter Stassen. So April 9th, we were told, is the next hearing. And in this hearing, they're going to see whether they will allow the injured witnesses to speak on their own behalf. Can you imagine? So this court hearing was what people would say at the highest of the high on the planet, the most elaborate, the most expensive lawyers you've ever seen. One of them, who had a very popish energy about him, even left the court with 3 security guards. Now, why would there be lawyers in court in Holland? They're not called barristers there. They're not called Queen's Counsel there like they are in posh old Britain. But it was quite extraordinary. There he was, witnessing, listening, as Peter Stassen read out witness statements, as the scientists gave their proof, their evidence against the shots. And this man left and he got into a very posh Bentley type vehicle with 3 security detail. Who was he? Was it Batman? No, it was a regular lawyer, the most expensive in the world, probably, looking out for the fortunes and reputation of Bill Gates, the genociding murderer, and Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer, former.
Yeah. Well, I think we're we are doing this together and we support each other. And that is key. And I do believe when we show that to the world, like you support these not healthy people, right? Who were attempting to speak, or in April they will speak maybe, or it will be decided if they can speak on their own behalf because they got injured, that you support them by bringing it into the public more.
Yes,
So you
I
help
was
them.
recording live. I was sitting live, looking at Fiona Rose Diamond, who was listening to Djamila.
Yeah,
Djamila was upstairs
yeah,
translating because they were speaking in Dutch. We all
yeah,
had a copy of the transcript of what Peter Stassen was going to read out
yeah,
in
yeah,
Dutch. I
yeah,
don't speak Dutch.
yeah,
Djamila is in on Zoom
yeah,
into Sasha Patelova's ear, Fiona Rose Diamond's ear. I'm sitting next to Fiona, typing up on Facebook, live, 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 in the moment, sending it all out, all
yeah,
of it, and saying, oh my God, they're saying that there's a satanic occult. I mean, they said things in that court. Peter Stassen said things in that court that you never would have imagined other than on YouTube. It was being said there is a satanic occult. People are injured by the shots. It was absolutely laid out. And, you know, true to form at the very end, I was very cross that they were like, well, we'll come back and we've got nothing to say about this. It was exceedingly arrogant. So I'm afraid because my soul isn't for sale and nobody owns me and I don't have a bossy husband or anyone telling me how to behave in any order. I am a qualified journalist. I went to college for that. I
yeah,
stood up and I shouted at all of them, all nine as they were piling out. I said, where do you think you're going? And they kind of looked around because I interrupted the program. They're
yeah,
not used to being spoken to like
no,
that. And I
yeah,
said, sit down, sit down. They were like, they probably thought I was some mad woman, and that's fine. I have no interest. But I wanted to make it known, no. You might
yeah,
think there's some silly woman standing up. Okay, I don't care. But I jabbed at your program, jabbed at your energy, and said to you, what do you think you're doing? We're not done here. And
yeah,
then I walked over to the main bench. And as Peter Stassen was packing up his bag, now, because I watch television, I am making a bit of a mockery of it because it was quite ridiculous. I stood next to Peter and then I shouted over to the four judges who were facing everything, who were listening to both sides. And I shouted out, can I approach the bench? You know, because like I said, I watch TV and that's all you
yeah,
see on there. Permission to approach the bench, sir, sir. And they like looked at me like, again, interrupting the program, yeah,
yeah,
their programming. And then I said, what do you think you're doing? I said, what was that? And then the man, the main judge, quite a young guy, is mouthing something at me. I can't hear him and he's not that far away. And I said, what a load of crap. I said, we know what's happening in the world. You don't get to get away with this. Do you understand? And at that point I can hear, ma'am, contempt of court. But only in my mind, because like I say, I've watched telly, you know, these silly legal programs. I just thought, I'm not going to waste an opportunity
yeah,
to little pop into the bubbles that these people live within. They separate. They are laughing at us. We are what, the useless eaters. We are the cattle. They are literally genociding us. They're arresting great men and women who are telling the truth and locking them away in prison. It is absolutely barbaric. And we are allowing this, we, the people, you know, so sometimes it takes a gobby bird or two, or several billion people out there to have a little pop and say, no, 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 we're not doing that, you know,
yeah,
because there has to be accountability. And it doesn't matter if one gobby bird like me stands up, maybe other gobby birds and gobby men will go, oh, do you know what? I can use my voice. I can use my energy. I can unite. I can move forward together with the rest of my planet and say no. Quite
yeah,
simply, right?
yeah. That's exactly what the Together for Each Other is about. That's
Yeah.
exactly, and we are live witnessing it coming together now.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Dani,
Absolutely.
I so much thank you for all that you're doing. I'm amazed and really impressed by your courage. I knew that from the first moment when we met, that you're very courageous and that you're really your beautiful, very strong flame that's burning in you, that's bringing the light into life and into the life of so many. I truly, truly appreciate, and I'm grateful for being able to call you a friend. And I thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
So
Daisy, for all you
how
do
can
too.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, you see, but you see, together for each other, together we're strong. And then when we get that, that is just, I think that will help us, because I think when we look at history, actually we can learn from history that there were a lot of times where we did not stand together. It was always going back to this divide et impera, the divide and conquer. And once we get that, I mean, we're in the 21st century. I think it is a good idea that we just comprehend that and say, okay, not anymore, together. Yeah. So how can people reach you? Because I know you have a big show or something, a big conference coming up in fall. So how can people find you? I know that we've seen your Facebook that you shared before. Thank you for that. But how can people reach you?
Yeah, I basically I run the biggest whistleblowing conference on the entire planet, and it's called okay, I don't know what's happened here, but it is called Galactic Spiritual Informers. And as you can see, here is David Icke, here is Kathy O'Brien, here is Billy Carson. I bring people who work in the military, and who basically stand for truth on our planet. I'll give you a list of the speakers. It's happening this September. David Icke, world-renowned author of Global Catalyst for Awakening, and just a relentless truth seeker. Billy Carson, incredible, brings information on the potential of the human being, which is so important right now. He's been on Ancient Aliens, Gaia TV. He just empowers people to expand their understanding, but he brings ancient truths. Kathy O'Brien, one of the bravest women on the planet, who was abused, who was attacked, who was sexually assaulted by Hillary friggin' Clinton, and many more people in the White House during the 1980s and early 90s. Kathy O'Brien used at a Pentagon and White House level and survived it. This is a beautiful Hindu monk called Praveen. He's all over YouTube. Millions and millions of people follow his work as he is discovering hidden technology inside the ancient temples. It is all relevant. Everything works together. This little guy, when he was kidnapped as a little 10-year-old, was put into a military group and used in child torture programs, because as you know, the satanic occult, there is child trafficking across the world. He comes and he speaks to it, and he's been on a spacecraft, the military have, that gets to the moon in 10 minutes. People go, 10 minutes? Are you having a laugh? That's because NASA never told us the truth. You know, we have to get over it, that we've been lied to. Nikki Allen bringing the beautiful spiritual elements together, which is what we all need. We need to tie that together. Her situation with angelic frequencies is huge. Max Lowen. Now, Max Lowen stood on my stage in September in America and told us about the satanic ritual harm that happened to her underneath the Vatican, where she was trafficked every summer by her uncle, and she saw lots and lots of children losing their little lives underneath the Vatican. Max Lowen, she's coming back to England. This guy is active military duty, still going on missions, telling us about space arcs under the sea that the military are aware of, Daisy, and so much more. He's been wearing a helmet the last few conferences he's done with me, but this one he's unrobed. This is what he actually looks like. This is Guy Anderson, who's bringing back the ancient information on Tartaria, the ancient buildings, because there was a reset. Here is I. And so the tickets are so cheap for 3 days. These beautiful, beautiful people, and you can come and have lunch with these guys. There's a great VIP lunch, but the tickets are so cheap for 3 days with all these people. There's different ways, different ticket prices right now. You can get, the cheapest ones are going for 270 quid. That's it for 3 days. Can you believe that? It's absolutely incredible. So I'm really happy to bring all these great people. Everyone's telling the truth. It is completely uncensored. It is in Eastbourne in England, down by the sea. It is on the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th of September 2026 this year. The greatest whistleblowing, telling all the secrets event ever. And everyone should come and attend that. Thank you for asking.
Well, thank you for putting this together. I consider these these thoughts and thought patterns that I cannot even imagine that exists, I consider that it's important that it's offered, because okay, you can go and listen, and then you take what you can digest, and what not you acknowledge, and then maybe later you can digest. I think it's very important that we inform ourselves, and most likely these speakers that you invited there and bring together, I can imagine that a lot of them will speak things that we would think, oh, maybe there are some weird things going on in their minds, just like it was with the sea crisis, right? With the microbe crisis, where people thought we knew it, oh, that something's off there with these injections, and then others believed it. So I think it is very important that, especially nowadays, that we remain open-minded, and only because I never heard of it before, or only because I have not experienced it before, that does not mean it does not exist. So I find it very courageous from these speakers that they stand there and that they speak their truth. It's very important.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So
Thank you for bringing this together, and thank you for being a good friend to our common friend, Dr. Reiner Fuellmich, and for his wife, Inka. I'm sending much love for you and for all who visited this nice conversation that we just had, Dani. Thank you very much, dear listeners and dear viewers. And whenever you have questions, you know how to reach it, Dani, and we're looking forward to continue. And remember, together we're strong. Much love for everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dani. Thank you, thank you, thank you.